So Thomas Mulcair and the NDP announced that they want to introduce a cap and trade system for reducing Canada's carbon dioxide emissions. Now we need to start out by pointing out that carbon dioxide is not real pollution. It's naturally occurring, which is good because all life on Earth depends on it, because it's what plants use to grow. Anything green would die without carbon dioxide. We exhale it when we breathe. Carbon is one of the most important elements in the world. We're made of carbon, so is our food, so is wood, so are many rocks. It's nuts to say carbon is something bad, but in the fantasy world of punditry and lobbyists and low information journalists, carbon dioxide is evil. And Thomas Mulcair and the NDP say they want to reduce our man-made carbon dioxide emissions between the years 2025 and 2030, so 15 years from now. They want to reduce it to 34% less than it was 25 years ago. They're using 1990 as their baseline. They want to reduce our carbon dioxide emissions to 34% less than it was back in 1990. Now, in 1997, when the Kyoto Protocol was drafted, 1990 was specifically chosen as a baseline date because it was a fudge factor to tilt things in favor of Europe. Here's what I mean. In 1990, Europe was as dirty as it could be. That was right before the United Kingdom phased out most of its use of coal. And it was right after the Berlin Wall fell and Germany was reuniting, and it was at its Stalinist worst environmentally. A whole bunch of old factories were just about to be shut down anyways. This was all known historically when the Kyoto Protocol was drafted in 1997. They chose 1990 as a baseline so that Europe could immediately declare that they had already met their targets because they already shut down all those dirty things in 1990. So only the evil Americans and Canadians had to cut their economies, which were actually pretty clean in 1990. Anyways, I'm using clean as a proxy here. I say again, carbon dioxide isn't dirty at all. It's colorless, odorless, naturally occurring. But I'm just giving you some background and pointing out how weird it is that Thomas Mulcair is choosing 1990 as the baseline date for his carbon dioxide plan. He's actually using the European trick against us himself. But 34% less than 1990 levels. Canada emitted 613 megatons of carbon dioxide in 1990. So 34% less would mean taking us down to 405 megatons a year. But of course, we're not starting from 1990 levels. We're starting from where we are now, 726 megatons of carbon dioxide. So we're talking about a 44% cut, pretty much cutting our emissions in half. Where do these man-made emissions come from? Well, according to Environment Canada, 75 megatons come from agriculture, including what animals emit. 86 megatons come from buildings. 76 megatons come from factories like cement factories or paper-making factories or refineries. 170 megatons comes from transportation, school buses, ambulances, cars. So I don't know if you're counting, but right there I've just listed more than Thomas Mulcair will allow us to have. And we haven't even talked about electricity or oil and gas or waste. Thomas Mulcair wants us to cut our carbon dioxide emissions in half. That means cutting our energy use in half. So which school buses should we not use? Which fire trucks should we not use? Which homes should we not heat in the cold Canadian winter? Which farms will we shut down because the cows belch too much? Which factories does Thomas Mulcair want to shut down? The Ford factory or the Chrysler factory? And has he told his union friends there yet? Again, I'm just counting from our emissions today because Mulcair wants to make these cuts happen in 10 or 15 years. Oh, okay, well, we accept about 300,000 new immigrants a year. So in 15 years, there will be almost 5 million new Canadians who've immigrated here, plus all those new Canadians who were born here. So you're looking at a population of maybe 45 million people then, compared to 36 million now. So 25% more people than now. And we presume the economy will grow a bit, maybe 2% a year. So between population growth and economic growth, in 15 years, Canada's economy will be about 50% bigger than it is now. And I'm probably underestimating it. See, when you say you want to turn back the clock to 1990 and then cut another 34%, as Thomas Mulcair has said, you're saying you don't want to grow your country. You don't want more people. You can't have more people. You don't want more industry. You don't want more jobs. You don't want more quality of life, and certainly not more quantity of life. Because carbon dioxide is truly the stuff of life, not just for all plants and animals, but for us too. And for everything that we use in our life, from agriculture to transportation to oil and gas and factories and electricity. And Thomas Mulcair just plain old wants to cut us in half and more as every new person is born or immigrates here. It's mad. It's literally a blueprint for deindustrialization. And if you want a glimpse of what that will look like, take a peek at Alberta, where Rachel Notley has started shutting down the carbon economy, and 1,000 Albertans are losing their jobs a week. And just in case you doubt it, she issued a statement on Tuesday via Facebook that reads, quote, "The climate change plan set out a few days ago by federal NDP leader Tom Mulcair will get us there, which is why I strongly support it. Mr. Mulcair's policy sets clear priorities, clear goals, and is flexible on how provinces must pursue those goals, provided they are met," unquote. See, that part is true. Cap and trade basically means Mulcair will cap the amount of carbon dioxide that the entire country's industries can emit, and then those industries have to fight amongst themselves as that cap is lowered year after year. It's like musical chairs. After every song, some chairs are taken away, and if you don't get a chair, you lose. Too bad. Except here, every year some carbon emissions rights are taken away, and if you can't pay to get them from someone else or hire a lobbyist to exempt you from them, you're shut down. Your auto factory closes, your mine closes, your farm closes. So Rachel Notley is right. Her boss, Thomas Mulcair, will leave the fighting to the industries themselves. If it's a mine closing but not a farm, or a farm closing but not a mine, he doesn't care. All he cares about is being the hero who gets the imaginary number down. Imaginary because, of course, all that pain, all those costs, all of those lost jobs to cut a few hundred megatons of carbon dioxide is a joke. It's a laugh. I mean, it means nothing in the real world, the physical world, because China emits about 10,000 megatons of carbon dioxide a year right now. So about 15 times more than Canada, and they are growing at about 5% a year. It's all guesses, of course. It's not like anyone actually measures the amount of carbon dioxide emitted by China. I've seen estimates at over 10% growth a year, but 5% a year growth by China. They're expected to grow their emissions every year for decades until they're not poor anymore. So China's emissions are going to double and double again. In a single year, they will add as much new carbon dioxide as all of Canada combined, while Thomas Mulcair and his deputy, Rachel Notley, figure out which jobs to kill over here. Hey, can I ask a question that I don't believe has been asked before of Thomas Mulcair or Rachel Notley or Justin Trudeau or even Stephen Harper or Barack Obama? Here's the question. All your taxes and your cap and trade and your regulations and all your schemes, how much will they change the world's temperature? I mean, that's why you're doing it, right? Global warming. Rachel Notley's carbon taxes, Thomas Mulcair's cap and trade, whatever Trudeau is planning now, has a single one of them actually calculated or even guessed how much of a difference it will make to the world's temperature? Of course not, because none of it will make any difference. And that's according to the United Nations itself, their Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change. They say that even if every country in the world complied with the Kyoto Protocol, even if China decided it wanted to remain dirt poor and just shut down all its factories, if every country in the world did exactly what Thomas Mulcair wants them to do, it would not change the temperature of the world by 1/10 of a degree, not even by 1/100th of a degree, even after 100 years of deindustrializing. It is a hoax, a scam, a way to attack capitalism. It is not about changing the weather. Not even Mulcair or Notley believes that. It's just an excuse to reshape the world for the worse. For TheRebel.media, I'm Ezra Levant.